Welcome to Pack Talk Podcast, episode 126. Today we're talking about dog park safety tips, avoiding fights and injuries in the dog park. So first of all, before we get into today's discussion, don't forget, please rate us, review us on your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, Pod Pocket, or whatever people are using these
Pod
days.
Pocket?
Pod Pocket, I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever people are using these days, please rate us. That helps us beat the algorithm, reach new people. So the question for today, should you even go to a dog park? And there are pros and cons that we have to determine and discuss when it comes to dog park considerations. And I will say, when I had my first dog, Sarabi, before any of my other dogs, you know, one of my favorite things to do was to go to the dog park, dude. Sarabi was a dog park connoisseur.
Nice.
Go to the dog park, she's hanging out, you know, bossing other dogs around, playing, grabbing balls, you know. One of the dog parks is also like a horse riding area, so there'd be horses riding around. You know, then you have the dog parks with the swimming areas. We take her there. She loves to swim. And then at the end of the season for like water parks, they would shut down the water park and they'd have like a dog day. We'd take her to that, dude. Dogs everywhere.
You get in the pool, like in the wave pool and stuff?
Oh, yeah, you get in all the pools and everything. I mean, they just lower the water levels, so it's not like so deep and everything. But, you know, I wasn't into any dog training or anything back then. And thinking back about those times, I just remember a bunch of situations where the dogs were not good to go.
Yeah.
They were aggressive. They were reactive. They were causing problems. Sarabi was never a problem dog. But I remember seeing these situations, and I didn't really think of it much back then, but it could be detrimental to some dogs depending on the dog, you know. But anyway, good times, good times. Nowadays, I don't go to any dog parks. I like doing stuff with my dogs myself. Or with like some trusted friends or something, and same thing applies to the dog water parks and all that. But I think a lot of people get caught up because they think they want to go to a dog park, especially when they first get a dog, because they want socialization, right? A lot of people are taking their dog to the dog park. They're claiming, I have to do this for socialization. I have to do that for socialization. When the truth is, you actually don't have to go to a dog park for socialization. We know that socialization is building positive experience in close proximity to new people, places, and things. What that means is I don't have to take my dog into a dog park. I don't actually have to interact with people, places, or things or dogs. I just have to have good experiences around them or close to them. Now, if you want to escalate your socialization to the next level, once you get through that positive experience in close proximity to people, places, and things, then you would escalate into interactions if you want to do that, if your dog's even suitable for that, depending on what all's going on. But there are some risks of taking your dog to the dog park for socialization. And the top ones that come off the top of my head are exposure to illness. So you don't know what other dogs going to the dog park have going on with them, with their poop, with their pee, you know, whatever they have going on.
Especially if your dog likes to eat poop.
Exactly, shit eaters, you know, shit eaters. Yep. And we're talking about people that are doing it for socialization. They mostly have puppies, right? So their puppies are more at risk of exposure to illnesses than older dogs. Also, you want to be careful of aggressive encounters with your puppy that you're taking there for socialization, because if you took your puppy to the dog park for socialization, now a big dog comes up, or even a little dog, you know, Shih Tzus, you know,
they get dominant.
Chihuahuas, you know, they come up, they start, you know, dominating or aggressively encountering with your dog, your puppy. This could set your puppy back. It could actually be not helping your socialization at all. It could be creating an aversive experience to other dogs, which is going to make your puppy not want to be around other dogs. The other thing that could happen is uncontrolled behavior from other dogs. Not even if it's not aggressive, you could have too rough of behavior, or you could have your puppy picking up on insecure or nervous behaviors from other dogs in the dog park. So there's just a host of things that could go on that are a risk to adversely affecting your socialization if that's what you're trying to use a dog park for. See what I'm saying? What are you seeing people wanting to do dog parks for?
I mean, I think that's the most common is like, I got to go there for socialization. I think that's the biggest question. That's what I always ask people when they come to me as a trainer. Hey, I want my dog to be good at the dog park. So I say, why? What is the purpose of wanting to go to the dog? Are you wanting to go to the dog park for socialization? If that's the only reason you're wanting to go to the dog park, then I say, hey, there's some other things we can do for socialization. I don't recommend, like, for me, it's just training behavior out of the question. Like, it's just not a desirable thing for me. It'd be the same as if you and Ben were like, hey, you want to go out to the bar on Friday? Like, it's just not a task I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Right. I don't like really hanging out with strangers, which is what's going to happen at the dog park. You got to talk to people. Oh, yeah, cute dog. Yeah, you got a nice. Yeah, like, I'm just not into that myself, right? So to me, I would, like you touched on, I would rather do things with my dog. I might go on a hike, or I might go to a restaurant, or I might go just walking with my dog in proximity of other dogs. I enjoy that far more than going out to the dog park, right? So so if I want dog socialization, I'm going to look at other things that don't involve the dog park. Now, you might say, well, hey, I want to be able to I enjoy talking with people. I enjoy being social. I enjoy my dog being social. Now that becomes a training thing, right? Like, all right, well, what training steps do I need to take to be able to accomplish this? And just like any other subject we've ever talked about, you've got to have realistic expectations that your dog might not be suitable for that type of thing. Or you got to be able to make a call on the fly that there's certain dogs in there not suitable for this particular play session, and I'm going to dip out and bounce out. You know what I mean? Right. At the end of the day, just like anything else, I like to be in control of the environment. I like to be in control of factors that can affect my dog. The more crowded a dog park is, the less control you're going to have in the dog park. Right.
Yeah, I'm training 2 dogs for people right now that want to go, 2 separate people. They want to have their dogs go to the dog park and play, and one of them literally said that when they show up, people start leaving because their dog starts dominating other dogs or whatever. So their goal is to be in the dog park. My goal is to get them to achieve that goal through our training process, which is going to be having really good off-leash training and really good invisible leash communication, right? So that's ideally what you have when you're ready to get into a dog park. But one of the things we want to look at is understanding the dog park dynamics, what actually goes on in a dog park. And like Chris said, not every dog is a good fit for the dog park, so it's vital to know about your dog or the other dogs that are going to be there before you start getting heavy into dog park play. And that could be session by session. Some dogs can have a great time at the dog park. Other dogs, they might not prefer to be around other dogs. So that's where it comes down to knowing your dog. So reading your dog's body language, knowing your dog's temperament, knowing how they respond to these types of things, knowing dog body language in general, right? If you're at the dog park looking around, what are dogs' tail positions? Are they up? Are dogs being dominant? Tails are up, dogs are being dominant, right? Tails are down, dogs are nervous, dogs are insecure, or being submissive, right? Just kind of depends. But those 2 big indicators can tell you what dogs are feeling, and an insecure or a nervous dog can also lash out and create a undesired response towards your dog or other dogs because of their fear or their insecurity or their nervousness. They might feel cornered or something like that. But your dominant dogs, the ones with the tails up, they're walking around, they might be trying to dominate other dogs. So if your dog has a ball, for example, and this dominant dog comes over and wants that ball, they might grab your dog real quick or grab your dog by the dog's neck and thrash it real quick to get that ball, try to get your dog to leave that ball away. So understanding these dynamics are important because you want to assess this. You want to create the best experience for your dog, even if you've been going to the dog park for a long period of time. So, take action when you're here at the dog park looking around at the body language. Call your dog back to you if you see a situation unfolding that you don't want your dog involved in. If you see 2 dogs starting to get into a fight, other dogs tend to join in dog fights, right? So you don't want your dog in the mix. That could result in like vet bills depending on the dog, because some dogs, they can bite other dogs and correct them and cause no damage. That's what we call bite inhibition. There's other dogs that have no bite inhibition where they bite or correct and there is damage done because they don't know how to inhibit the level of biting that they're doing. So you don't want your dog in the mix of a dog fight or a bunch of dogs fighting, and a dog without bite inhibition just decides to grab onto your dog, and now you have to go get stitches or staples or something like that.
Or your dog is the one without the bite inhibition, and now you got somebody, hey, you're going to pay for these vet bills.
That's true. That's where it comes down to knowing your dog, knowing if the dog park is a good fit for your dog, knowing when to call your dog out of the situation, knowing the body language that plays out, because your dog could be like a happy-go-lucky dog most of the time. Then for some reason something could trigger it to where tail's up, boom, now it's being overly dominant on a dog, or tail down, now it's being hyper insecure or nervous or fearful of a situation that's playing out, you know. And if you have big dogs and little dogs together, I mean, unfortunately, big dogs can cause serious damage to little dogs as well. So you got to be really careful. And for anyone that's wanting to go to a dog park and enjoy a dog park, I would say you must do off-leash training reliably that includes your remote collar conditioning before you even go there, because you need to be able to call your dog away from any situation, any scenario, and make sure that they return to you, right?
Also think like it doesn't eliminate risk. Even with, like, yes, we can, there are if we want to, hey, that's the goal, I want to go to the dog park, I can do some training things, there's some stuff we can do, right, to make that an accomplished goal. But let's say you have that little dog and that it can happen so quick, you know what I mean, that major damage could be caused to your dog before you can even implement your training protocol. So the more chaotic the dog park, the less control you're going to have, the more risk that there's going to be, even with training, right? So those are all factors you have to think about before entering that dog park.
So real quick, just to cover some basic dog body language that you would want to be aware of. We already talked about tails up being dominant or confidence in dogs. And if you see that happening, it doesn't always have to be a red flag, but you do want to pay attention, because a dog that's being dominant will tend to correct other dogs more so than dogs that are being non-dominant, right? So a dominant dog might be walking around. If it decides that it wants a stick or a ball or to control a situation, they typically will have no problem stepping up and handling that, right? Now, some will handle it, you know, with bite inhibition and in a fair way, essentially. Others won't. They'll go overboard, right? The problem becomes when you have that dominant dog meet up with another dominant dog. Both tails are up. What you'll see is the dog's body starting to get stiff. Dogs are nose to nose. Ears are up. If a tail starts wagging and the tail's up, it doesn't mean it's friendly. It means it's getting aroused. And as arousal increases, so does the chance of fighting or overcorrection, right? So you would typically see two dominant dogs stiffened up, heads up, tails up, maybe tail wagging. Once that tail starts wagging, that's like, hey, my indicator of I need to call my dog back to me is going off immediately. But the dominant dogs might try to put their heads over the shoulder of the other dog, and what the dogs are doing is figuring out the dominance hierarchy. So if one of those dogs decides to submit to the other, generally no conflict ensues. But if both those dogs are fighting for that top dog spot, that's when a conflict will arise, right? That could lead to a dog fight, could lead to corrections, you know, things like that. So that's something you got to look out for. Also, on the opposite end of the spectrum, dog's tail is going down. If the tail goes between the legs, we're seeing that higher level of insecurity or fear. And if you have a fearful dog, ears tucked back, head coming down, or other things you might see, dog's going into a stress state. So your dog might decide to run away from that situation, and they're probably not going to hear you unless you've done good off-leash training. If they're running away, they're in a flight state of mind. You're calling them, they're not even hearing you because of how stressed they are. Now the dominant dog or the other dogs that are there might start chasing it, right? And so this is going to further escalate the fear response from your dog, and then your dog hits a corner of the dog fence and you know, turns around, decides to lash out at a dog that's chasing it. Or let's just say worst case scenario, there's a hole in the fence, or someone's coming into the dog park through the gate at the same time your dog's running in that direction. Your dog gets out the gate. Right? Now you've got to still get a hold of your dog somehow, which if you have good off-leash training, you can stop all of this from escalating or happening. But from a dog body language perspective, these are probably some of your main scenarios that are going to play out. If you have two dogs meeting, one has the tail up, one has the tail down dog is most likely submitting to the tail up dog. However, if the tail down dog feels cornered or doesn't like the pressure that's being asserted on it by the dominant tail up dog, it might snap or lash out at that dominant dog, which could create a response from the dominant dog lashing out at the insecure submissive dog, right? So there's just a ton of things that can happen. I would say those are probably your biggest scenarios. You have other scenarios you're thinking of?
just to piggyback on it, like this doesn't even factor in reinforcement history, right? So like those little scenarios of that super dominant dog putting that dog in that insecure dog in an uncomfortable position, right? That happens day after day after day. We're not cognizant of the body language, and like that will turn that insecure dog into a potentially aggressive dog, right? Or vice versa. That dominant dog's used to just bullying everybody, and then it comes face to face with another dominant dog, right? So like there's all these reinforcement histories of you going to the dog park day after day after day that you're not factoring. All these reinforcement histories are happening and being built, and these experiences are being learned and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, what do we hear? Common phrase came out of nowhere, right? Like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden he ripped this dog's neck open. It came out of nowhere. It's like, this was building up for a long time, right? We're just not aware of all these little body language things going on.
Yeah, the people, I hear it all the time, this happened out of nowhere. There's no warning signs. When in reality, you just weren't experienced enough to notice the warning signs that were happening, and it's a very slow process in general. Right. Little escalations over time, but you have to be paying attention, and you have to know what you're looking at in order to pick up on these escalations before it escalates into a full-on aggressive response or reactive response or uncontrollable behavior, right? Yeah. But there's always an escalation. So, like you said, I hear it all the time. This came out of nowhere. No warning. No this, no that. I'm like, dude, there is warning. There is escalation. Just little micro escalations that are very hard to detect unless you know what you're looking at and you're looking at it from that lens. Yeah. Because like we talk about, dogs are dogs. Humans are humans. A lot of humans tend to look at dogs like they're human. You have to really look at it from the dog's point of view to assess what is actually going on. Right. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, I want to talk about preventing conflicts at the dog park, and one of the points in that one is maintaining supervision. It's the same thing as people taking their kids to the playground and then getting on their phone or sitting down reading a book, which is cool, trying to be efficient with your time, reading a book while your kids are playing or something, or your dogs are playing. You got to maintain supervision so you know what's going on, right? So if you're at the dog park, if you're at the playground, you got to have your head up. You got to be paying attention to what's going on. You got to provide guidance. You got to know when there's a red flag walking into the dog park. I remember, just training. We've been outside of dog parks training, and I've watched people go in and out of the dog park, and I see people coming in. I'm like, this dude's a problem. He's cocky or he's arrogant, and his dogs have the same energy. I'm like, I wouldn't be wanting to be around this guy. And you can see those people just pulling up and going in, Yeah. But supervision, making good decisions based on what's unfolding in front of you. Typically, when you go into a dog park, you're not going to be having your dog on leash the whole time. That's not the reason why you go to a dog park. You go to a dog park to let them go crazy, right? So having good off-leash training completed, including your remote collar conditioning and communication, before you even start going to a dog park is going to be critical. Because you never know when you're going to have to call your dog back to you. You never know when something's going to happen and you need to communicate with your dog in a way they understand and they're responding to appropriately, right? I mean, there's even a time me and Ben were training in front of a dog park, and there's a copperhead on the path that goes into the dog park. If you're walking to the dog park and there's a copperhead and you don't have a good off-leash come command, your dog might go up to that copperhead, which is a snake for those who don't know. It's a venomous snake. And so if your dog gets up to that venomous snake and the snake bites it, now you're going to the ER, right? But you could have prevented that if you would have been able to call your dog back to you, right? And what me and Ben did is we paused. I went up to the snake. I put a little trash can over it, or I scooped it into a trash can, like a plastic trash can, called the dog park authority, whoever owned that dog park. They came, they picked it up, they took it to a different area, let it go, right? So having good control of your dog, because I put the dog I was working with in a downstay. I walked over to the snake. I put the snake in the bucket. I called the authorities. They came, they got the snake, they took it away. They brought the bucket back once they offloaded the snake, So having a good downstay ensured that dog's safety. Having a good come command can ensure your dog's safety, but you got to be comfortable doing that. You don't want to walk into the dog park and then start working on this stuff, right? You want to already have it done. And then you do want to, if you're in the dog park, you do want to encourage positive interaction. You don't want to encourage potentially negative or aversive energy interaction. So if you see a dominant dog in the dog park, your dog's being dominant, I wouldn't necessarily start walking toward the more dominant dog, right? Because I don't want to enable conflict, right? I want dogs to, figure things out. I want them to be able to operate together. If I force two dominant dogs together, that could create conflict or problems. Anything you're thinking about preventing conflicts at the dog park?
Energy is a thing I always talk about with my clients, with not just dog park, but anything. Initial energy when an arousing event is happening is usually where issues happen. You know what I mean? Somebody rings the doorbell, somebody comes in, and that's when the dog might bite somebody or just get super excited, knocks them over or something like that. You got to manage that initial energy, and then usually interactions are much better. You know what I mean? I've seen many cases where I've had dogs that have literally bit me coming into a house, then 5-10 minutes later I'm petting that dog and it's fine, right? And I see a lot of that tense energy at the dog park from the moment that the dogs get out of the car with the owners. We're coming up to the dog park. All the dogs in the park are coming right up into the gate. You've got 15 dogs there, and you're like, have fun. You throw them to the wolves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a tense moment right there. And so for a lot of dogs, they can't handle that tension. You know what I mean? So it might be beneficial. You get out your car, maybe your dog's jacked and amped, the other dogs are jacked and amped. I'm just working, doing some obedience, doing some training on the outside of the dog park. All those dogs that are swarming the gate have now become bored and they're going off doing their own thing or whatever.
Right.
Now, hey, energy's in a much better space. Now I might enter that dog park at that time. You know what I mean?
I totally forgot that happens. The dogs are at the gate. They're waiting.
They're
for
just
the
like,
newcomer.
fresh meat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that I've seen so many fights happen right there at that moment.
Right.
And then I hear it every time. Like the owner's like, oh, that's just how they say hi, or just let them. They'll work it out. You know what I'm saying? I was like, maybe sometimes they do. Like a lot of times they do work it out. But again, that's reinforcement history starting right there. You don't know what's that person in that dog's situation 2-3 years down the road. We don't know. Right. So manage that energy, get them in a better space before you go into that interaction. That's just good policy for anything.
Yeah. The other thing I think about when you say energy is, you got someone that's in the dog park with their dog, and maybe two dogs are stiffening up toward each other, and the owner, it's okay, Teddy, or whatever, and they walk up and they're like, it's okay. They start petting the dogs.
Your energy.
Yeah. The owner's actually nervous in that situation because they don't know what's going to happen. Dogs are like, oh shit, mom's nervous. So this dog's a bad deal, so let me take care of this real quick, or whatever they're going to do.
Which that can be like, let's talk about some behavior profiling for humans. You know what I'm saying? That can be like you being able to recognize that, like, all right, this person is indicating nervous behavior about their own dog.
Right.
Let me just recall my dog out of this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like something, I don't know. Right. Or I don't like how that person is acting towards that dog. Like they're petting this dog and potentially reinforcing something bad or whatever. I'm just going to get my dog out of that situation.
Exactly. One thing we've talked about in the past is introducing dogs properly. I don't really think you're going to achieve that in the dog park, because ideally when we introduce dogs, we're taking walks together. We're doing a very slow process to introduce the dogs via sight, smell, observation before we have any physical interaction. You're not really going to be able to do that in a dog park because you're just walking in. Dogs are, like Chris already said, they're rushing you at the door, at the gate. And, it's like, hey, it's go time. There's really no proper interactions. So if you want to do proper interactions with other dogs, a dog park is probably not the place for you. Dog park's more of, I'm getting in there and we're just boom, we're in the mix,
Hope for the best.
Right. If you're meeting up with some of your friends and you want your friends to play with your dog, I would do the full proper interactions where you're doing the walks, you're doing the genital sniffings. Nothing better than a good genital sniff.
Gotta sniff the genitals.
And then slowly letting the dogs play, which you can listen to the podcast we did on that if you want to understand that full process. But you're not going to have proper interactions going into a dog park 100%. Same thing, if you're a human going into a bar, you're just bombarded. You're bombarded. I'm here for the tacos and beer.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's very much like, think about any social gathering that we go to. Like you can walk into a room and within a couple of minutes, understand who I would be okay talking to and who I'm like, I want nothing to do with that person. I don't like that person's energy. You know what I'm saying? And that's humans. You know what I mean? Now add the dog element where they're doing similar things are going on. Now that person that you don't vibe with, that person's coming and pressuring you and getting up in your space. It's like, dude, come on. It's the same thing with them. You know, all those little things are going in. They're testing each other. They're checking each other out. All those little communications going on amongst themselves, and we're missing all of it. You know what I mean? Because we're reading our book or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it's the same.
Humans have their own personalities. Dogs
Yeah.
have their own personalities. I know me. I don't like people like busting my personal bubble.
Right.
And there are people out in the world that have no personal bubble.
Yeah.
Like I'll be in a public place and someone will come up to talk to me, and they're literally inches away from.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm taking a
You
step
move
back.
away.
They step closer.
They close the gap. What's that?
I'm like, this person just literally has no idea about personal space.
Right.
Same thing, your dog goes into a dog park. There's dogs that literally have zero understanding of personal space.
Right.
And your dog might prefer some personal
Right.
space, and this could create a conflict. So
We live in a complex society with
Right.
rules and laws, right? In that scenario where that person's pushing that space, as a dog, I might lash out and just bite that person. You know what I'm saying? We can't do that as humans.
Right. As a human, you stick your arm out.
Yeah.
Let's get some space
Yeah.
here, and they find that offensive.
Right.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Safety considerations. You do want to have some safety in your brain as you're going through this. Like we already talked about, supervision. You want to be aware of your surroundings. You want to keep an eye on your dog. Just because you're in a dog park doesn't mean it's 100% safe, right? There could be snakes in there that you don't know about, right? Copperheads, they get into some tight places. If you're in the southeast, they're all over the place. They blend in really well. You know, other parts of the nation or United States or even the world have different snakes, and snakes blend in really well. There could be other things. I've heard stories of people, you know, playing fetch with their dog in some tall grass. They're playing fetch. All of a sudden their dog screams. They run over there, and there was a freaking piece of metal sticking out the ground and sliced their dog open, right? I have a very good friend of mine. She was playing fetch with her dog in just a field, not a dog park. She went to a field, playing fetch, dog scream, seemed to like collapse on the ground, run over there. There's a piece of metal rebar sticking out the ground, punctured through their dog.
Yeah.
The dog almost died. Had to do emergency surgery. So as a rule of thumb, whether you're going to a dog park or you're going to a field with your dog or an unknown area, I like to do a thorough walkthrough, right? So if you're at the dog park, once you get in there, walk the perimeter of the fence yourself. Check out what's on the ground, what's going on around you. I have heard horror stories of people going to dog parks to poison dogs before, right? People walk in trying to feed dogs treats, or people throwing things on the ground trying to poison dogs because they don't like dogs for whatever reason, you know? And if you don't like dogs, there's something wrong with you, right? But people do this weird shit. So walking around, assessing if there's anything weird. I mean, if you do notice your dog sniffing on the ground too much or trying to eat something off the ground, call them back to you. Call them off of that. Don't let them do that. That's where good off-leash training comes in, right? But do a walkthrough, dude. Make sure everything looks good before your dog starts going too crazy. And the only difficulty doing that would be like if you're hiking on a hiking trail, because you're not going to walk the whole trail. So you have to just keep an eye out while you're walking for things sticking up out of the ground or venomous snakes or other things that are going on. Also understand, people might bring sick dogs into the park, whatever sickness it is. So that's something that you could be exposed to, you know, to keep your dog in optimal health with a raw diet. So then that shouldn't even matter, right? And then being aware of some basic first aid for your dog, right? If your dog slices a paw pad or gets a puncture in the side of its body or something, or, you know, another dog grabs it, rips it, you know, gets some big deep punctures or a laceration or something. Are you ready to handle that? You know, keep a small first aid kit in your car. That way you can provide some immediate first aid as you're in transit to your urgent care, your emergency vet. Safety things from your perspective, other thoughts you're thinking about?
Leash. I mean, I'm always keeping a leash on me.
Right.
It's good for if I got to leash up my dog and get the hell out. It's good if dogs are latching on to each other, and I might need to use this to get a dog off of another dog. That's a good. I mean, I'm very comfortable with my leash skills, so I'm gonna have a leash on me.
Yeah.
Even if my dog's off the leash, I'll put it on me, just like I've got it draped over my shoulders, whatever.
Right.
So that's there.
Yeah, that's one thing you probably don't think about. A dog fight breaks out. What are you gonna do?
And that's a game changer. Like, this ain't just, you know, you're on a hiking trail, 2 dogs get into a fight. Like,
right.
Like dog's getting a fight, other dogs are coming in. You got 20 dogs in this dog park or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's going to be multiple dogs
Right.
getting after it.
Even if your dog's in the mix, are you going to go help break up that fight or not?
Right.
It's got to be something you think about. But you have to be careful because unknown dogs, you don't know how they respond. Some dogs will redirect when they're in that arousal, that fight mode. So if you go in there and grab a dog, first of all, never stick your hands around where the mouth is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've talked about this before in other podcasts. But even let's say you leash up a dog or you slip lead a dog and you start pulling them away, be careful because that dog can turn and come at you. It's not thinking about that,
Yeah.
but it's just like a genetic or unconscious response. So you have to be aware of that too, because now you could have injuries, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there are dogs that will freaking cause some major injury to you real quick, right?
I mean, you just don't know the dog.
You don't know
You
the
just
dog.
don't know what's going. You don't know.
You don't know what's
dog
gonna happen.
could be dog friendly, but not people
Right,
friendly.
right.
Don't like people touching it, and all of a
Right.
sudden now you got a new problem on your hands.
Exactly. It's you and the dog fighting, not the two dogs fighting, you know? So, yeah, all things to think about. But I always keep a little first aid kit in my truck or my car, whatever I'm driving, and it's just in there all the time.
Yeah.
If someone gets hurt, something happens, you can do some immediate first aid.
Yeah.
Me, in general, you know, I don't really freak out about little cuts and scrapes, you know, like my dog has gotten like little cuts on itself, little punctures on itself from whatever.
Part of an active life.
Right. I'm not too concerned about that. Some people freak out. They have to go to the vet. You know, me, I'm like, hey, I'll put some stuff on it myself, give my dog some rest, active rest, you know, nothing crazy, and continue to monitor. Your number one concern, if there is some kind of cut or scrape or puncture, infection.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want there to be an infection, whether it's your dog or yourself. So keeping that thing clean,
Yeah.
you know, very, very important. But also, we didn't talk about this yet. Depending on the time of year that you're at the dog park, you probably want to be careful. Heat considerations.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about summertime. Some of these dog parks, they don't have a lot of shade, you know, so analyzing your dog, the one thing I look at, what's the rate of breathing? You know, dogs sweat through their mouth, so they are going to be panting. Their tongue is going to be out. But is the tongue like hanging out more than normal? Is that tongue curling like a spoon? As soon as that starts happening, I'm like, all right, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
We got to get some shade. We got to get some cool air. You don't want your dog chugging water when that happens, but a little bit of water, you know, these kind of things.
And that can sneak up on you quick in the summer,
Absolutely.
especially here in the South. The humidity's crazy. I mean, It don't take long for a dog that's getting after it, running, you know, getting zoomies, running,
Right,
playing,
right.
all that kind of stuff. It can come.
It can
quick.
get overheated real quick, and that could literally kill them.
Yeah.
Right. If you're not smart or you don't act fast enough, that's your main summertime concern, is that heat. If you have a dog that's playing ball in the dog park, for example, maybe your dog doesn't want to stop, but you're like, hey, dude, we got to stop.
Yeah.
Some dogs will keep going.
Yeah.
They'll literally run themselves to death.
Yeah.
Other dogs, they give you indicators, like they'll grab the ball, they'll run off into a little patch of shade, they'll lay down.
Yeah.
That's an indicator that your dog's getting hot. Don't force your dog to keep moving in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Just some things to think about. Wintertime, you know, I'm thinking about extreme cold. Could get some of that, it's not frostbite, but it's like before frostbite. You know what that's called? You know off the top of your head?
No, it's kind of like a burn, though.
Yeah, it's like
right?
it's like a frost burn where
Yeah.
it's so cold where it burns the skin.
Yeah.
You got to be careful of that, you know. So wintertime, not as much of a concern with the heat, but you still want hydration because you can get dehydrated in the wintertime. Same thing as the summertime, but summertime just happens a lot faster.
Yeah.
Right. So things to think about, right? But as we're wrapping this up here, making the most of your dog park experience, first of all, you got to think about, are dog parks actually a place for you and your dog? Maybe we've talked about all this stuff and you're like, you know what? These are some good considerations, good things to think about. I don't know if the dog park is actually somewhere I want to go to. There are a lot of considerations. Of course, there are risks. Of course, there are potential benefits. But is it worth it for you? You know, me, myself, I did go to dog parks before, like I said. And my first dog, Sarabi, not really a problem dog. You know, she liked to dominate some dogs and stuff, like low-key, nothing crazy. But when I got my Doberman, Bane, I did go to dog parks with him when he was a puppy, which probably created some of his problems, you know, micro escalations over time. But, you know, now it's like I'm not going to dog parks because, first of all, all the bad experiences that can happen at a dog park are my main concern. I don't want my dog to have to practice, correcting other dogs or moving away from other dogs that are being overly assertive on them or getting into conflicts with other dogs. I just don't want any of that, right? You can't control the other dogs that are there. So even if you can call your dog back to you, which I can call my dog out of anything. We have very good communication, very good relationship. I have no problem doing that with him. But I don't know those other dogs, and I guarantee you most dogs going to a dog park don't have good training to the point where they can call away from situations or call out of situations. So if there's something going on, sure, I could call my dog to me, but the other dogs that are around might be chasing my dog to me. Now I've got to, handle business when they all get there, right?
Yeah.
And then these dogs have zero control, so now we're talking about potential risk of injury to myself trying to take care of my dog, right?
Yeah.
So those are the main reasons why I'm not going to a dog park myself.
Well, I'll say also many people that become clients with us, that especially like they come to us specifically for some type of behavioral modification or some issue. Let's just say dog on dog reactivity, aggression, whatever, some type of behavior. A common theme is that they went to the dog park. Now, I'm not saying that if you take your dog to the dog park, you're going to have these problems, but it is a piece to the puzzle that it seems to be very consistent that dogs end up having these behavioral issues did have a lot of experiences in dog parks, some type of doggy daycare type dog park scenario.
Right.
So something to think about.
Definitely something to think. And doggy daycare does fall into this.
Right.
The dog park is the doggy daycare scenario too. But if you do decide to go to the dog park with your dog and you decide, hey, this is something that I do want to do with my dog, make sure that you are creating a good experience for your dog and yourself at the dog park. Make sure you have that safety in mind. Do the walkthrough. Make sure everything's looking good. Make sure you have the right equipment that you need, water, poop bags.
Yeah.
You'll get
Pick
posted.
up your poop, people.
You'll get posted on the neighborhood HOA or the dog park Facebook page if you don't have your poop bags, dude.
Some of those Karens might DNA test that. They might pick it up and take it to the lab.
Oh, they do that. The dog parks, they have the service where they have the truck come out and they test the DNA. And if your dog poop was found, guess what? You're getting the bill. That's crazy, dude. But have your poop bags on you 100%, right? And usually they have them there for you. But make sure you're ready to do that. Make sure you got your leash and any other equipment that you're going to need. First aid kit in your car in case you need it. And you'll be good to go, right? And also, be a responsible dog owner, right? Have good etiquette at the dog park. If your dog is not good to go, walk away, right? If your dog is good to go and having a good time, you're good to go, right? You just hang out. So remember, not all dogs are suitable for this type of place or interaction, right? So you got to figure that out for yourself. Figure out if this is a good place for your dog. If you are there with your dog and then a troublesome dog shows up, walk away. If your dog is the trouble dog, walk away. Take ownership. Be conscious. Like, okay, not good for us here. Not creating a good experience for the other people here. You know what I'm saying? Other closing thoughts, dog parks?
One other thing that popped into my head as you were talking is if you are using the dog park as your sole means for exercising your dog, that's probably not a good idea.
Not
right?
a good idea.
They can lead to a host of different things, but I see a lot of times the dogs that are you let your dog play with every single dog that you come in contact with. You don't teach your dog neutrality around dogs. It can lead to reactivity. As soon as you put that leash on the dog's frustrated. I can't get to the dog. I'm aroused. The dog doesn't know what to do. It starts becoming very reactive, right? And it's not aggressive. People think their dogs are aggressive, just reacting. But I think a lot of people, like anything, we've talked about using treadmills to your benefit, right? But if you can't just solely rely on this one little piece of the puzzle, I'm going to only play fetch with my dog, using the dog park solely for a means of exercise for your dog, it's not going to enhance your relationship with your dog. It's going to cause you issues in the long run at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people, they go to the dog park, they put their dog in there for 15 minutes, they're like, my dog exercised.
Yeah.
The exercise is a bonding process between you and your dog. The walk is a bonding process between you and your dog. You use it to your advantage to enhance your relationship, and your training and exercise can go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like one of the things I recommend for most people, train on your daily walks. We even did a YouTube video on it, right? Let's say you're doing a 30-minute walk in your neighborhood. take some time, do some training drills on that walk, do some other things on that walk. You know, it's a great way to incorporate 2 things at the same time. And there's nothing better and relaxing than just having a good walk with your dog. You know what I'm saying? If I get stressed, I'm going on a walk with my dog, right? I don't have to say anything. Dogs are nonverbal. I love being nonverbal. You know what I'm saying?
Love that. That's why I get a dog.
Exactly. So nothing better than that. But like you said, you got a dog that goes to the dog park all the time. It starts to lose impulse control. It starts to lose self-control because it's pulling you to the park. It's running to the park. It's bursting into the park. Now when you do try to take your walk, it's more difficult because your dog's starting to pull on the leash. It's more difficult because your dog sees another dog and it's trying to get over to that other dog because it's used to seeing other dogs at the dog park and just getting to run up to dogs and go crazy with them, right? So like you said, it creates reactivity. It causes problems, right? I think for some people, the dog park could be a potentially good place for them to go to, a good experience, but I wouldn't do it all the time. I wouldn't do it every day. I wouldn't make it part of your daily routine. It'd be one of those things that I do every once in a while. Even better than just going to a dog park, getting a group of friends where you know each other's dogs. You know you have good control of your dogs. Y'all can meet up at a dog park together, you know, at a time where it's less busy, or you could find like an open area where you can take your dogs to, or you can meet up at someone's house. But I think that's probably better than just going to a dog park and just, you know, going
hoping
crazy,
for the best,
right? But me, like I said, I like doing stuff with my dogs. I like hiking with my dogs. I like letting my dogs be dogs, run around, have a good time, play with each other, whatever. I have 3 dogs. 2 of them play heavily together. The third one, she's older. She doesn't do that much. I like taking them to new places. You know, I like taking them out to restaurants. I like taking, you know, that's not for me.
Right. For the dog.
When I go to the restaurant, it's for my dog training.
Right.
It's
But
not.
we're talking about neutrality, impulse control.
Exactly.
It's for the dog.
Exactly. You know, if I get the 5-course street tacos with the queso,
right,
that's neutrality because my dog's got to maintain a downstay, right? Not get up on the table or anything.
And
like
then
that.
you get queso so that the waitress has to make another trip, so you're getting the more distraction exposure.
Exactly. Yeah. Same thing if I go to the burger joint. You know, I get that burger. You know, that milkshake. You know, neutrality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maintain your downstay. Relax. You know, I'll enjoy this. Maybe I'll get you the doggy menu stuff, whatever's going on. But good to go, right? So that's the dog park. Let us know what you guys think. We do appreciate all feedback. So this topic actually came up from a listener, sent us an email, asked us to talk about dog parks. Boom, we made it happen, right? So if you got a topic you want us to talk about, send it to us via email, send it to us via social media, whatever's easier for you. Don't forget, we've got Canine Revolution Dog Training located in South Carolina, but servicing dogs all over the country. I've got a dog coming in from Georgia tomorrow. I trained this family's first dog in San Diego. Now they live in Georgia. They're bringing their second dog to us. If you guys want to contact us, we've got board and training programs. We've got private lessons, virtual lessons, custom programs, consulting for dog trainers, whatever you guys are needing. Our phone number is 843-213-2676. Our email is info@caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. We've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok still up? TikTok's still up, dude. TikTok's still up. We got YouTube. We got all the socials. Check them out. Subscribe, follow, whatever they do, right? We've got Canine Revolution apparel on Amazon. So if you want to represent, you want to get a Canine Revolution logo shirt, you go to Amazon, you type in Canine Revolution apparel, you get you a logo shirt, you get you a logo hoodie, you get you a good to go shirt, because we should all be good to go. We should all be good to go, right? Training never ends. But if you're on the path to training, if you're starting your training, you're good to go, dude. You're good. Even if you got things to work on, you're good to go because you're working on it, right? So get a good to go shirt, get a good to go mug, get a good to go hoodie, beanie, whatever you want, and you'll be freaking good to go. All right, next up we've got We Feed Raw. Go to www.wefeedraw.com and sign up for a raw meal plan for your dog. Discount code Canine Revolution, all caps, no spaces, Canine Revolution, spelt out. 25% off your first meal plan. So someone texted me yesterday, they opened up a can of worms. do you have food recommendations for dogs? Boom.
Chad's like, oh,
Boom.
do I?
They opened a can of worms.
Do I ever?
I might have gone overboard on my text back to them.
Yeah, they didn't respond.
They said thank you.
Oh, okay.
But I talked about We Feed Raw. You know, I was like, hey, obviously raw food is optimal for your dog, right? I said, if you can't do that, do a portion of raw to the kibble that you're feeding. We know that kibble is garbage, right? We know that kibble is like you eating cereal 3 times a day. Horrible, right? Could you imagine dry Cheerios every day, 3 times a day? Horrible. Raw food, good to go, right? So you get the raw food. If you can't do the full raw, do a portion of the raw, 25% raw, 75% kibble. And then I said, hey, if you can't do any raw because of the budgetary concerns, add something in there, sardines, salmon, something, right? Then I said, if you can't do that, canine super supplements, which we'll talk about in a second, right? But we talked about the We Feed Raw. And then Chris is training some dogs right now. The dude has custom raw food, right?
Yeah, he's got T-bone steaks. He's cooked it all up.
He goes to the
store. He brought me bags
He goes to the
of it.
butcher shop himself and gets stuff.
He must have a connection. Yeah. He's got the liver. He's got the organs. He's got the knuckles. He's got the bone marrow. Right. He's got the whole shebang.
But I mean, it's bags and bags. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's an ordeal.
Yeah. He said, hey, be ready. These dogs eat well.
Right.
They ain't going to take no hot dogs from you. Sure enough.
So if you don't want to do all the stuff this guy's doing, just get the We Feed Raw because they do it all for you.
They do it all for you.
And they put it in that package. It's easy. You cut it open, boom, plop it in the bowl. Your dog's freaking losing it.
Yeah.
Losing it, you know. All right, next up we got Canine Super Supplements, letter K, number 9, supersupplements.com. Discount code Canine Revolution, all caps, no spaces, 15% off. They got the multivitamin formula. They got the weight gainer formula. They got the joint support formula. They got the puppy formula, which you can also give to adult dogs. But we've got some dogs in training, high metabolism. They're burning calories like crazy. They're getting 4 cups a day of kibble or 4 cups per meal of kibble. That's a lot of food.
Yeah.
And their body's burning it because their metabolism is so high. First of all, get them on a raw diet. Because just the calories from kibble just, they just aren't equal.
Yeah.
But what we did, we put in the weight gainer in their kibble. Boom. Dog starts to finally put on some weight, starting to add some lean muscle, dude. Because that weight gainer, that's what it does. It's basically a raw diet in powdered form.
Yeah.
Then we had a dog that came in. I forgot what happened before they came in for training, but they had some kind of cut or something on them. We added in the multivitamin, immunity support, the cut healed, enhanced healing for dogs.
Like superpowers.
Right. Multivitamin, dude. Canine Super Supplements. Good to freaking go. But they got the joint support. So if you got a dog that has joint problems or potential joint problems, or you don't want joint problems, you get them on the joint support. And then that puppy formula, of course, good across the board, right? Even if you just need to add some calories to a dog's food, just get them on any of the formulas. You're going to see enhancement. You know what I'm saying?
And it's all affordable. It's very affordable.
Oh, yeah. And they got it on Amazon now, too. You just can't use the discount code on Amazon, but you can use caninesupersupplements.com, or you can go on Amazon and get it. You just won't have the discount code.
Go to the website.
Yeah,
use the discount code.
It's better. It's better. All right, last but not least, we got JockoFuel.com. It's for you, the dog owner. So we're supporting your dog. We feed raw canine super supplements, but you got to support yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of your dog. You know what I'm saying? So JockoFuel.com, discount code Canine Revolution, all caps, no spaces, 10% off. Get you a Jocko Hydrate. Wintertime, summertime, doesn't matter. Jocko Hydrate's good to go, right? Get you the Jocko Greens. I've had a bunch of people texting me this week. I'm getting the Jocko Greens. It was between Jocko and AG1. AG1 sucks.
No competition.
AG1 sucks. AG1's like taking a bunch of grass and putting it in your mouth. It tastes horrible.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, exactly. You got the Jocko Green. You get the freaking pineapple.
Oh, yeah.
What is it? Pineapple
coconut.
That shit's fucking
They got peach,
good.
too, if coconut's not your thing.
I'm not in the peach. I'm into the pineapple.
I like
dude.
the pineapple.
Yeah, dude. But
I mix it with my milk.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So good.
Well, speaking of milk, I did get the gingerbread.
Is it good? Better than pumpkin spice?
I'm not a huge pumpkin spice guy.
I'm still on the pumpkin spice
and the
train.
gingerbread, it's okay, but I'm like, I want my cookies and cream back, so I'm powering through the gingerbread to get back to my cookies and cream.
I mean, it's all good protein, so
it's all good to go.
Whatever the flavor, I'm taking
whatever
it.
the flavor, I'll just chug it. But the cookies and cream is good.
Yeah,
it's good. It's got chunks of Oreos in it.
Yeah,
it's got chunks of Oreos.
It is good.
That's freaking good to go.
It's good.
But JockoFuel's got anything you need. One thing a lot of people are deficient in, vitamin D. you can get that Jocko Vitamin D3. It's one little pill a day, and it gets you your daily need for vitamin D3. And the bottle lasts a year. It's like $20.
Super cheap.
It's 365 vitamin D3s in the bottle. 1 year is like $20. Discount code. Now you got a discount, right? So check out the website. There's a bunch of stuff on there. Switch over from your not good to go supplements to the JockoFuel supplements. All right, and you'll be rocking and rolling. But thank you guys for your support. Thank you for listening. Again, let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you think. Shout out to everyone watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, we got you, dude. We appreciate you. YouTube's growing. Pack Dog Podcast on YouTube. People are tuning in.
Nice.
People are paying attention. No guineas today for the viewership, though. No snow today.
Snow.
Last one was in the snow.
It's South Carolina. You never know
what
we're
you're
sweating
getting.
over
You
here.
never know what you're getting.
Snowing
But
last
thank
week.
you guys for listening. Subscribe on YouTube. Rate us on your favorite podcast platform. Let us know what you like or don't like. We appreciate it all. And until next time, this is Pack Talk Podcast out.